The lore of Cyberpunk 2077, at times, has had an uncanny ability to either predict or foreshadow events in the future. So, did the Cyberpunk lore predict COVID-19? There are 3 events that occurred during the Cyberpunk 2077 timeline, or alternate timelines, that can be considered. In 2000, a wasting plague hits the US and Europe, killing hundreds of thousands. It is a strongly held conspiracy theory that the CDC, Center for Disease Control, deliberately released bioagents so that various area governments would relinquish control. There is as much evidence for this argument as there is against it. It is true that many strange viruses and other bioagents have been released into the government-controlled food supply. Some, like the wasting plague, were found to be deliberate terrorist actions. Many, like the virally induced hardening of tooth enamel, were beneficial. Others, like the introduction of a mutagenic virus that allows free-form racial characteristics to appear in the children of same-race parents, are downright weird. Though none of these viruses can be linked to the CDC directly, the proximity of these incidents to areas in which the government has had other interests is a strange coincidence. In 2012, a bioplague weapon killed thousands in Chicago. Chicago was directly targeted by terrorists from Arab nations, as it was the leading American city after New York City was bombed. In 2020, a carbon plague incident occurred. A corporate AV crash releases a nanotech plague on the outskirts of Night City. The plague ravages the city for 2 weeks, then mysteriously stops. In the alternative Cyber Generation timeline, in 2025, a corporate AV crashes, releasing a new plague in Night City, nicknamed the Carbon Death. The Carbon Plague is a highly advanced form of nanotechnology, bacterium-sized supermachines that manipulate matter on the molecular scale. It is also volitional, performing complex tasks. About 80% of adults over 20 are unaffected. They become temporarily sick, subsequently becoming immune. The rest die in screaming agony, their bones and muscles slowly powdering into sugary white crystals. For those under the age of 20, about 70% are unaffected. The remainder undergo significant metabolic changes, creating augmented fusions of nanotech and biological components, gifting them abilities akin to cyberware. Who created the Carbon Plague? No definitive answer was ever found. One theory suggests that a megacorp wanted to make super-powered cyber soldiers, and the nanotech was accidentally released during the AV crash. Another less accepted theory is that the Carbon Plague was designed by an AI who wishes to evolve humans. Alternatively, some hold the view that the nanotech potentially supports a hive mind AI. The final theory was that it is a prelude to an alien invasion. The Carbon Plague aims to decimate humanity and replace it with a robot race. In the Cyberpunk v3 timeline, the Carbon Plague refers to an incident occurring in 2020. A corporate AV crash releases a nanotech plague on the outskirts of Night City. The plague kills adults, while those under the age of 18 are affected with a variety of nano-based mutations. The plague ravages Night City for 2 weeks, then mysteriously disappears. It was rumored that the plague was associated with nanotechnics, described as the single most important breakthrough in the period since the Fourth Corporate War. Nanotechnics devices are an amalgamation of nanomachines and artificial life. Nanotechnics not only think for themselves, but evolve to meet novel conditions as they occur. The individual credited with the nanotechnics revolution was Dr. David Chiang. Chiang appears to have learned how to program nanotech with a unified group intellect that allowed it to make limited decisions to accomplish a set of unbreakable parameters. It was rumored that this information may be related in some way to the Carbon Plague incident. However, with Chiang's suicide in late 2025, the actual secret of how nanotechnics was developed have gone with a doctor to his grave. In 2077, birds are rare, but were starting to come back to areas outside of Night City. However, these birds were not actually birds, rather a product of Biotechnica's experimental projects. Biotechnica has free rein to design and release several experimental plants and animals, which they hope will restore the once burgeoning ecology. 2077 Quest director Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz would reveal that there's no real meat in Night City. Most of it is synthetic. The reason for this is that at some point in the timeline, the birds were transferring diseases, not unlike the bird flu. Subsequently, different states chose to exterminate all birds, and laws were passed making it illegal to keep or eat poultry such as chickens and turkeys. The reason for this was a disease like avian flu. This would be similar to the highly pathogenic influenza A virus, subtype H5N1, which was deemed as a potential pandemic threat. In comparison to coronavirus, H5N1 and its variants have a far higher case fatality rate, meaning it's more likely to kill you. However, its ability to spread from person to person is highly limited, so overall, it would have a lower death rate than coronavirus, albeit its virulence could be completely different in the Cyberpunk 2077 timeline. At the time of making this video, CDPR donated over 4 million polskie złoty to help fight COVID-19. Thank you for chipping in.